dad. It gets gooder and gooder with every good.
Hi family, how are you?
I'm just loving this whole new look. Y'all look.
When I tell you, you a sight for sore eyes, I missed you. Today, thank you. It's been interesting. Life has came and life has gone. As you all know, my husband's brother, our oldest brother, passed last week. And the hearts were broken, but they were so full because we had amazing opportunities this year to spend time. And so as we prepare to wrap up 2019 and roll into a new decade, can you imagine it's 2020? I remember contemplating, should I get a generator? Because the year 2000, everything was supposed to be. Remember that? That seems like only yesterday. But I'm not the only one that thought about buying a generator, am I? I want to thank my amazing husband. You know, it's interesting, you can be with someone for forever, and then you discover something new about them. I never heard him read in public, because he's usually that quiet guy in the back. But maybe got skills. He usually is so content to sit in the back and let me shine. And what I can say, and I say this without reservation or hesitation, he's truly the wind beneath my wings. Yes. Yeah, so to stand for him and to speak at my brother-in-law's service was truly a gift. And today we go into our gifts, wrapping up 2019. And I have 3 questions for you. I don't want you to try and answer them right in this moment, because you're going to need to think about these 3 questions. The message is, a life of purpose. Are you living a life of purpose? Because what I'm realizing that when all is said and done, it's about, are we living a life of purpose? Because it's really bigger than you, and it's bigger than me. We're here for each other. Even the people we don't like, we're here for them too. Okay, I'm sorry. There's no one that we don't like, but the people that we would rather not spend a lot of time with. Let's put it like, that sounds much nicer and more politically correct. So I'm going to ask these 3 questions, and I've been told that we now have a YouTube channel, and you can go out and listen to the questions again. 1, when you do an assessment or an autopsy of 2019, did you keep your promise to yourself over this past year? Did you promise to love yourself no matter what? Did you promise to carve time out for yourself, regardless of how busy or demanding your family is? Did you promise to be authentic and compassionate with yourself? That's question number 1. That was a long question. But did you keep your promise to yourself? That's it in a nutshell. And did you honestly forgive yourself and others? Did you forgive yourself and others for any broken promises? Oh, that forgiveness. Ooh, we get quiet on that because we have to think about, I don't know if I'm ready to let go of that. Are you willing to do something different about it? And the last question is, what's your spiritual practice like? What do you do every day that grows you, restores you, renews you? Is it a walk with your favorite dog? Is it reading Science and Mind magazine? Is it listening or or reading the Bible or some other spiritual book? Is it meditation? Is it yoga? What are you doing to stay sharp? Because, oh baby, if you don't do something, sharpness will elude you. And I can say this because I'm in that group. If you don't use your brain, you forget, you can't remember stuff, you can't recall it. Things that used to be sitting right on the surface, they're not there anymore. We have to keep sharpening the axe. What are we doing to restore and renew and replenish the self? Because you are so important. And I love when Bill said, turn to someone and tell them that they are important. How many of you acknowledge your gifts? Okay, some of us do. All those folks that did not raise their hand, I promise you, I can spend an hour with you and tell you what one of your gifts is. Because that gift is the thing that you do best with the least amount of effort. It's so second nature to you, you don't even know it's a gift. That's your gift. And the world needs that gift. It's your duty. It's your responsibility. It is your mandate from the divine to share your gift. Somebody tell me your favorite musical artist. Yeah. Prince. Oh, I like that. Somebody else.
Dolly Parton.
Darling, I love me some Darling. 925. Okay. Somebody else. Tell me. Cool in the Gang. Yeah. It's a celebration. Someone tell. Yes, sir.
Andre Botticelli.
Oh, his voice. I love his voice. Now, we just heard of 4 people. Andre, Cool in the Gang, Prince, who else?
Dolly.
And Dolly.
And Andre.
Oh, I named him first. What if any one of them had not used their gift? Would we be deprived? Absolutely. Because each one of them, you hear their voice and you know it's them. Andre, you know his voice above all else. Dolly Parton is unique. Prince is unique. Cool in the Gang is unique. You look at any athlete, you look at any artist, you look at any pianist, you look at any speaker. You think of your favorite speaker. If they had not used their gift, would you have felt deprived? Yeah, absolutely. You think back to your favorite teacher. And I'm sure some of us can remember a teacher from high school, elementary school. Had they not used their gift, would you feel deprived? Yeah. And if you had an amazing parent, had they not used their gift, there'd be a void there because nobody can fill that spot. So about honoring your gift, and it's so funny about gifts. If you find someone that uses one of their gifts and they use it well, it's a funny thing about gifts. They have tentacles on them and they will lend themselves to other things. You know, if you find someone that is a good seamstress, it means she works well with her hands. And you'll find her doing beadwork or crocheting or doing something else with her hands. If you find someone that's a good speaker, you will find them writing something, using their voice to draw pictures so that people can get it. Your skills will always, and your talents will always make room for you. And as we move out of this year, this is what I invite you to do. You move into 2020. Most of us in here are senior citizens. I mean, there's a few exceptions, but most of us are senior citizens. And for some reason, we live in this youth-obsessed society. And a lot of times we're made to feel like we really don't have anything valuable to contribute. What I can tell you, don't take my word for it. Just go out there and plug in seniors and new careers. One of the most powerful groups in America now is women over 55. They're doing amazing things. If you still getting up every day and the body is warm, there's something for you to do. And it's more than drink coffee and eat toast and go to the doctor. I know that can be a part of your day, but it doesn't have to be the major piece of it. There is something for you to do. There are some gifts calling forth. And I see this, and since I was here last, I turned 69. Baby, I'm killing the game. I'm killing it. I'm killing it. Look at these boots. I went to the airport and they were like, "Oh, lady, you fly." I said, yes. You don't stop because the clock is going to keep ticking. Everything see, you got to live long enough and appreciate yourself enough that you in style when you're 20 and 25, and then you kind of fade into obscurity, and then when you get back to 60, my niece and they call me the jazzy auntie. You my auntie jazzy. You want to live long enough. It's like an old car. You don't want to be an old beater. You want to be a classic. You notice how people treat classic cars? They wiping on them all the time, taking that elbow, getting the fingerprints off. I mean, this is how you are. Some of us are classics. Things that kids are reading in the book we lived. And when you hear something, you say, "Oh, no, that's not what happened." "Oh, really?" "Yeah, I was there." Honor that. Stand proud in that. And 2020 is going to bring you new opportunities. And are things going to happen? Absolutely. Are you going to have to let go of some people and some ways of being? Absolutely. But you're going to keep on diving in, and you're going to learn something new about yourself. And you're going to influence some young person. You really are. You don't even know you're influencing people right now. Because whether we know it or not, everyone in here has a legacy. I saw this with my brother-in-law, the one that recently passed. And he was a quiet man. And as long as I can remember, as long as my mother-in-law was living, he lived in the basement at her house, and he cooked and did all these things for her. But Uncle James, as the kids call him, he was a quiet dude. Didn't make a whole lot of noise. Didn't say much. But he showed up at every family meal because he had been a cook for officers in the Navy. So he was a very good cook. Well, guess what people remembered about him? All those wonderful things that he prepared in love for the family. The people from his senior community showed up in their walkers and their wheelchair, and they talked about how he contributed to their events. His great nieces and nephews talked about his contribution. And what I said was, and I said this to my husband, I said, you know, he was the glue. Now let me tell you something about glue. We don't see the glue on these chairs. We don't see it on the chest of drawers we have at home. But that glue is important. That glue is that invisible stuff that holds things together. What are you holding together? Each one of us is holding something together. It may be family. It may be our community. It may be our grandchildren. But all of us are glue at some level. They're not going to always see you. And your gifts are not going to always be visible. Maybe your gift is to just be that quiet, gentle space. But the truth is to acknowledge it and appreciate it. It's not the same gift that you had when you were 30. Because you're doing something different now. You know, it's kind of like, I said this because I know a woman that's at 50, and she's by no means old. But her whole life was shaped around being pretty. Well, guess what? She now has a daughter that's 25. She ain't as fly as she thinks she is now. And it's a challenge for her. Because if all your whole life, all you've ever been is one thing and that was pretty, what happens when somebody comes along that's prettier? You better develop some skills. You better be a classic. You better figure out how to make this work for you. And as we close the chapter on this, winter solstice is coming up. I have a question. This is off topic. Has this rug been down here all the time? Oh yeah, see y'all.
You gotta smooth it out.
Yeah, baby, because I'm like, why are my feet sticking to the carpet? It's like there are hands down here pulling on my ankles. It's pretty, but it's a hazard. What do you have in your life that's pretty, but it's a hazard? What belief are you holding that's pretty, but it's a hazard? This season of lights can be hazardous. Now we've gotten so politically correct, we can't say Merry Christmas, we have to say Happy Holidays. Because we have, we don't, okay. Because there are some of us that are offended by American tradition. We want to say Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. Well, I don't celebrate any of that. Well, Killjoy, it's okay. You don't have to celebrate any of it. But if you come to my house, you're going to get some Christmas. That's just what I do. I respect all of the other traditions, and if I go somewhere, I appreciate them. But they're not necessarily how I grew up. And it doesn't make them wrong. But here's what it says here that I found very interesting about our tradition. And this came from the book by Campbell. Not Glenn Campbell, Joseph Campbell. I'm thinking Glenn. When we peel back the layers of our story, whether it's Hanukkah about people surviving and, you know, the oil, etc., etc. When we pull back the layers of that story, it's about somebody winning and someone losing, basically. But universal true principle of forgiveness, wisdom, kindness, compassion, and dominion of our God consciousness saves the day every day. When we place the divine at the head of our lives, we stop arguing about who's right and who's wrong. This thing with, I am looking forward, it says, it just isn't enough anymore for any religion or faith tradition to overemphasize its history or exclusivity. Have you noticed that all of these faiths and religion, they're all right, they're all perfect, and it's the only way to do it. And we have tradition that's tied to that. What if we chose to let some of that go? What if we let it morph into something new that was more inclusive instead of exclusive? What if we incorporated a little bit of all of that into who we are? I don't need to be right about Christmas. What I need to do is appreciate all of us on this path called life. What comes to mind is sometimes a classic response heard from people in stagnating lives and organizations declaring, this is the way we've always done it. Honoring and respecting tradition is valuable. In the new now is more about extracting the savory juiciness from yesterday and using it as a stepping stone to a greater idea and a better tomorrow. Doesn't that sound good? Extract that juiciness and step on something new. What if you invite someone into your home that may have never celebrated Christmas? You bring in some of that tradition, but you're not excluding anybody. What if you got courageous and went to a Kwanzaa celebration? Anybody here know what Kwanzaa is? Okay. I remember when I was introduced to the idea of Kwanzaa, it took me a minute to wrap my head around a brief overview. Kwanzaa was created like in 1964 by a college professor who had studied African traditions. And he took these 7 core principles. And he said, these are principles that have held every culture together. Kuji Chagalia, Ujima, Nia, Ujama. These were all African words that represented principles. And Nia is faith. Hey, all of us have some faith, right? I don't care what your spiritual background is. We have faith. Collective, cooperative enterprise. We all have that. We came from that. We came from a culture of people swapping and bartering and sharing goods. So when I looked at all the principles that they had that came from African traditions, I thought, well, hey, we've been doing that anyway. Now you can put an African twist on it, and you can make it something special, but we have always done that. I tell you how that jar that you guys collect money back there, that's tradition. Spiritual communities, before there was social services, what were they doing? They took care of the poor. You look at the Muslims, they pay alms and they make this trip to Mecca and they take care of their poor. Catholic social services take care of their poor. Ain't none of this new. But we all want to put our tradition on it. What if we just had the tradition of love? See, that's an ever-expanding tradition. Doesn't have any limitations. Doesn't have any boundaries. What if I said, all I want for Christmas is you? I want you to be who you are, and I can appreciate that. I don't have, when I tell you anything that money can buy, I have bought it. Anything I want, baby. I got so much of stuff, my husband calls me a hoarder. That wasn't that funny. I have kept a lot of retailers in business. You too, right? I have bought stuff, I've gave stuff away, and what I want is you. I want you to be authentically who you came here to be. I want to see and feel and experience your gifts, Miss Carol. I don't want anything else. Somebody asked me what I want, like I tell my grandchildren. They say, Grandmother, what you want me to be? I tell them happy. I don't want you to go to college and get a degree because you think it's going to make me happy. And you over there crying in your pillow and you're miserable and you're taking drugs and you're doing all this stuff to medicate yourself because you think I want you to be something. This is all any of us should want from each other. This is what the divine wants for us. Because there's only one thing happening here. And it is the sole expression of the divine. And each one of us is a ray of that light. Each one of us is a ray of that light. And if you deny us your gifts, it's selfish. I can't tell you how I tap into my gifts. And it's so, tell them I call it back. It's so easy. People say, well, I don't know how. Anytime you say, I don't know how, just know that's your ego, okay? Your job is not to know how. Your job is not to know how. Your responsibility is to be willing. The divine, the universe will provide the how. God doesn't give you a gift or give you an assignment and not make a way for it. That doesn't make sense. Well, I want you to do this, but I'm not going to give you anything to help you with it now. You go figure it out on your own. That's not how this thing works. The way it works is you get an assignment, and this is where you call it Nia, you call it faith, you call it whatever it is. All you got to do is take that first step. I show you just how easy it is. I was thinking, okay, you know I have this classroom full of fifth graders, right? And I was thinking, I want to do something for these kids for Christmas. It needs to be cost effective and something that I can do that shows them that I love them. And I'm laying there and I'm thinking about it. Bring, bring. Who is calling me this time of morning? It's my girlfriend in Germany. What you doing? I said, well, I was trying to sleep till you called, but I was somewhere in the twilight zone. I'm thinking about this project for my kids. What are you doing? And she said, I have an idea. So she said, let me call you back and FaceTime you. So we were on phone and looking at it, and this is my creative friend. We do projects together. So she said, you know the journal you wrote a few years ago? Yeah. Create them a journal. Make the cover so they can pull it off and keep that cover with future, baby, I'm on and cracking. Now, all I had to do was be committed to doing something. Went and got these, you know these little black and white composition books? They're $1 at Dollar Tree. I had my husband go get 30 of them. I went through all my fabrics and said, oh, I have this and this and this. And I'm extra. So I went and bought a couple of extra more pieces of fabric. I'm making covers, got a little place for the ink pen. And I have a poem called The Champion's Creed. And I have them recite it. I'm going to put it inside, and I'm going to put all the little quotes in it, and have them start journaling, capturing their thoughts and their artistic work. It was just that simple. All I had to do was be committed and get out of the way, and get out of, well, I don't want to spend $300 or $400. I don't want to. No. Everything you need is already in you. And this Champion Creed was written by Reverend Dr. Lloyd Barrett, who is one of the oldest ministers in this movement. He was a teacher many years ago in South Central LA, and he wrote this poem. And that poem, I'm keeping it moving. And those kids now are 40 and 50 that he shared it with, and I'm sharing it with their grandchildren. See, that's how your gift works for you. So, think about your promises that you've broken. Think about the disagreements and the people you have on the ropes, the ones you're not ready to forgive them. Yeah, those folks. Let them off so you can move on. Sometimes they look like our kids, our grandchildren, even that old mean neighbor that won't clean up their yard. My nephew said something to me when we were in Chicago, and he has the most gentle demeanor. And I'm digressing to say this. This young man is like 6'3", about 260, gentle spirit. Spent most of his adult life in prison. Very gentle spirit. And I asked him about it. And he said, Auntie, I learned something. kill him with kindness. Now, we've all heard that before. But I'm looking at him because he looks intimidating. He's a big man. He said, Auntie, kill him with kindness. Because I was telling him about prison work. He said, all you got to do is kill him with kindness. That kindness goes a long ways. Even with your grouchy neighbor, the one you don't like. Kill him with kindness. They don't smile extra hard to speak to them. Kill them with kindness. That's your gift. Don't deprive us because you're mad at the guy next door. Kill him with kindness. And when somebody says, what do you want for Christmas? All I want for Christmas is you. I feel complete. I feel blessed because all I want for Christmas is right what I have today. And that's the presence of the divine showing up as every unique expression in this room. That's a gift. And what I need for each one of y'all to do is go out and amplify and magnify that gift. And share it. Because, and I'm going to leave you with this story because it was so funny to me. You don't know how important you are. I have a little kid in this class, a fifth grade, this little bitty guy. And every now he would cry because his mother died. And he's such a delightful little boy. I said, can I adopt you? And he said, no, I live with my uncle and he's going to adopt me. I'm his baby. I'm their baby. I said, okay. Now there's a little store in Las Vegas that's over in the ghetto, way deep in the hood. And this is where you go buy stuff they don't sell at Safeways. Stuff like hog head cheese, Louisiana sausage. And in the back they fry fish and you can go in and buy it. But there's no restaurant where you sit down or anything. You just buy it and take it away. So I asked the little guy, I said, Anthony, well, what does your uncle do? He said, very proudly, my uncle is a chef. I said, really? Now, you know, in my little mind, I'm thinking, ooh, I can see me having some of the chef's special stuff. Now, just where is your uncle a chef at? And I thought he said, Bellagio. You know, the Hotel Bellagio? And I'm thinking, ooh, I can see me down there sampling the chef's special. Oh, the picture I had in my mind. And he said, no, not Bellagio, Mario's. That's the name of this little store. And I had to stifle back a laugh. Well, what's interesting is, I said, well, what's your uncle's name? And he told me. Well, I happened to go in the store, and I asked, is there a Roy here? And they said, yeah. I said, can I speak to him? You know, folks in the hood operate different. They're like, well, he ain't available. Then they come back and they say, well, where does he know you from? I said, well, he doesn't know me, but his nephew, Anthony, is in my class. Pretty soon he comes out. Now he's postured. Yeah. And I said, I just wanted to tell you thank you. I said, you are making such a difference in his life. And he said, well, you know, I do right by him. I got a tutor come to the house every week. I send him to school dressed nice. Because, you know, learning different than when I did it. I said, yes, it is. I said, but I want you to know that you are really important, Anthony. And he said, yeah, he's important to me. What Anthony had never told me, and his uncle did, he said his mother committed suicide, and he still cries to this day. Now here's a man working in the back of a little supermarket frying fish, but to his nephew, he's a chef. See, you're a chef to somebody in your life. There's a little Anthony somewhere that's looking up to you. And this little boy, to him, his uncle, that came out with the flour on his hands and on his elbows, he's a chef. He didn't have on a white coat with a big tall hat, but to Anthony, he was a chef. That's what sharing your gift will do. It'll make you a chef. Where the world may see you as a short order cook or a fish fryer. So, I'm gonna close with this. As we move into 2019, and someone asks you, what do you want for Christmas? Want the very best for others that you want for yourself. Don't hold on to tradition because somebody gave it to you. It may have worked for them, but is it working for you? Forgive people